It's time for flesh and blood. It's time for flesh and blood. It's time for flesh and blood in your vascular. Hello and welcome to another video of Flesh and Blood gameplay here in Uvascular. This is the first round of booster draft. In the previous video you will see the draft from the perspective of the Oscilio player on the left side of the table here, facing off against Aurora. So Aurora has the ability to destroy a lightning flow to create an embodiment of lightning token, which in turn can give a go again to an attack action card. Oscilio has the ability to destroy a lightning flow to discard a card and create a ponder token, and if an instant is discarded this way, it can be played. Aurora's weapon, Scorpio Common Tail, attacks for 1, and when it hits it deals 1 arcane damage, but it can only be activated if you control a lightning attack, which means that you need to have an open combat chain with an attack there and of course go again so that you can follow it up with this attack. Oscilio, Volzar Meteor Storm is his weapon. It taps to amp 1, so it increases the damage of arcane damage cards. And but you can only activate it if an instant card has been put into your graveyard this turn. So either by playing it and it going to the graveyard, of course, or by, for example, using Oscilio's hero ability to discard an instant, which you can then also play and use amp with Volzar. So being a wizard, Oscilio has access to a lot of arcane damage effects, which can be quite tricky to deal with, because there's no such thing as arcane barrier here in this format. Aurora has a couple of equipment pieces, Helm of Astral Sanctuary and a Robe of Astral Sanctuary, which you can use to prevent 1 damage of any kind. Beyond that, we'll have to hope that Aurora has some other cards. And of course, the thanks to Omens of Arcana, the Lightning Flow tokens do have Spell Void 1, so they can be used to prevent 1 arcane damage each. So if Aurora has damage prevention cards in addition to the equipment and the lightning flows, then being able to, that should make it possible to deal with some of the damage. Oscilio here has some different equipment. There's a laced lightning, which is some boots that can make an embodiment of lightning token. Aurora does have snap fingers, which is a sneaky way to activate certain damage triggers from attack action cards, or just pinging for damage. And Oscilio has the Wizard Arms Constella Waves that can amp 1 by tapping down the hero. We see a red flashbolt from in Oscilio's starting hand here. Good starting hand, perhaps. We are on Aurora's first turn here. Electron Jolt Step is played out in, I believe that is a blue version of it. So that makes a lightning flow. That's a little bit of extra damage prevention. Now the question is if Aurora wants to commit any more cards for attacking here on the very first turn of the game. Against Oscilio, there's always a chance that Oscilio has a bunch of instants and is not able to defend on the first turn. So there's a possible gambit there for Aurora just attacking with the full force. This hand, unfortunately, though, may be a little bit light on powerful attacks. Looked like it was a bit blue heavy. Here's a Voltbond Duality played as an attack for 5. So here we'll see if Oscilio has the ability to deal with this, or if the damage is gonna come smashing through those puny instant cards. There are 2 wizard action cards that can defend in this hand. So Oscilio is probably just going to make sure to not take any damage from this by defending. Perhaps considering playing something, or the Lace Lightning equipment here is it's not such a bad deal to use that on the first turn of the game, since pitching 2 resources can be a costly thing that you don't normally want to do, but on the first turn of the game you kind of have an excess of cards, so to speak. But yeah, just going for the straight block here. Aurora has no go again, so wants to pass priority, but before there we see a Cosmic Flare played out, an instant, notably allowing us to activate Volzar to amp 1. And making 3 resources in the process. Oscilio uses the arms equipment also to amp an additional time, and then it's a Flashbolt in red for 5 arcane at instant speed, the first turn of the game. Quite brutal to be down 3 life and lose all of your lightning flows, your hard-earned lightning flows this early. Oscilio able to use all the cards in the hand there. So now we shall see. I see an attack action card there from Oscilio, but there is also some arcane spells. And a Sigil of Lightning that could leave behind something for later. Lightning Form is the play. So that Embodiment of Lightning could potentially come in handy at a later time. So here's the physical side of things, which can cause some trouble, since you can sometimes find yourself in a situation where you over prepare for arcane damage with arcane barrier and such, and then find yourself not having the space to also block attack actions. Perhaps depending on which cards you have drafted and such. 2 cards dedicated to defense here. I suppose there was a lot of blues in that hand, so probably hard to use them effectively. Here's a Nebula Duality discarded as an instant. Deal 1 arcane and make a lightning flow. And that Sigil of Lightning goes to the arsenal from Oscilio. Now Oscilio and Volzar are untapped again and ready for action. So far looking like a good start for Oscilio, having gotten damage in and taken away cards from Aurora. Here's a Mercurial Skies in blue, I reckon. And a Glide Through Starlight in possibly, is it yellow? Yes. With for 4 go again. Pitching the Thunderous Retort here, which is possibly risky in this matchup, since it is a very good card against Oscilio. I suppose with this hand it would have been tricky to kind of utilize the cards in any other way. That Mercurial Skies in the arsenal was kind of begging to be used for an attack. Oscilio chooses not to block here. And so there's a weapon following that up. Scorpio coming in for 1 and potentially 2 if it hits. Looks like Oscilio's reaching for equipment to prevent the damage. Not interested in using tapping Oscilio here, perhaps. There is no instant to discard anyway there. Plays out Sigil of Lightning on Aurora's turn. Wants to cash in on that embodiment of lightning. And so we will see an attack here. There's actually 2 different attacks in this hand from Oscilio. And it's Stellar Glide in red. Of course gets go again from the embodiment, so no need to destroy a lightning flow. 5 go again. We see a 2-cost 2-cost card in Oscilio's hand, so I reckon we'll have to pitch. There's a Voltic Impact and a Turn to Mindfire, both 2-cost cards. So one of them will have to be pitched to play the other in this situation. Aurora defense with 1 card. Takes 2 damage. Question is which card Oscilio prefers. Right, an instant did hit the graveyard this turn, so Turn to Vampire gets the Amp from Volsar for 6 Arcane. Makes sense. 6 physical versus 6 Arcane, then Arcane is often stronger. Usually considered stronger. Uses an equipment. Chooses not to use any equipment, takes the full brunt of the arcane damage. Or perhaps wishing that they had kept that Thunderous Retort for a situation just like this. Mercurial Skies, this time in yellow. And a Singeing Flowstride, also in yellow. So this has a... Or, no, sorry, that's the red one. Yep. So it has go again. It deals 1 arcane damage when it attacks. First time it deals damage, it makes a lightning flow. And also the Mercurial Skies effect will, if it deals damage, Aurora doesn't have any lightning flows that we can see at the moment, so that effect is not live at the moment. Wait. I'm silly. The Flowstride, of course, makes a lightning flow. So I believe you should be able to make the lightning flow and then destroy it to Mercurial Skies. Yes, yes, yes. So the effect is live here, so it's... I believe a lightning flow covered up the arcane ping while I wasn't paying attention. So 4 damage. Perhaps Oscilio with 3 instants in hand is just trying to stop that in any way they can to kind of stem the tide. Yep. Pitches to the boots. And so a prevention effect is there. Aurora looking at that Snap Fingers. Snap Fingers would be able to threaten 1 arcane damage, but since Oscilio does have a lightning flow, it might not connect, but decides to use it anyway. Getting rid of that lightning flow is an asset in and of itself. So managed to take 2 cards from Oscilio's hand here. And is able to follow up with Volsar for 2 damage. So, in the end, not too bad. But still, Aurora with less life. Oscilio has 2 instants here, and could choose to arsenal either one of them. Right, decides to play out Chromatic Refinement and arsenaling the Ominous Excavation. Yeah, this makes sense since Ominous Excavation would, if played this turn, not create a ponder token, so it's not the best value, and Chromatic Refinement is fairly likely to find a target if you have enough reds in the deck, which from the draft we saw that there was a pretty decent amount of reds in this deck. Indeed, this hand has at least, yeah, it has 2 different reds, a physical attack and then an instant. So Chromatic Refinement has a target, so to speak, and then Ominous Excavation could be played. Could be played on the next turn to shuffle in some kind of instant and also make a ponder because Chromatic Refinement is an aura. On Aurora's side of the table, there's Quick Succession in the hand, always great to see. With Path of Same Ends in a not quite discernible color, but that is Quick Succession. Red? Yep. So it gives Go Again, and the next 3 Go Again attacks have +1 this turn. And here is a Flittering Spike. Looks like it's yellow. Yes. So it gets the +1. 4 Go Again on hit, make a Lightning Flow. Of course, a very useful token against a wizard that is threatening arcane damage all the time. Oscilio only has, I believe, 1 blocking card in this hand, and it is a red attack that might be worthwhile to play out on the next turn. Looking at this hand, I don't think Oscilio really wants to be defending. Perhaps needs to think for a moment that do I have to defend here, or am I okay just saying no blocks and taking what's coming? With Aurora at 1 more card, I suppose Oscilio was thinking that this is gonna be okay. It takes 4. The flow comes in. No instant there. So Flittering Spike didn't get its full potential unlocked. And here's Path of Same Ends in blue. So it's 1 arcane damage and 1 physical. There's no reasonable way to prevent this arcane damage as far as I can see, so that is going to be coming in. And yeah, not blocking 1, of course. If you're not blocking 4, then you're not blocking 1. So Scorpio comes in, probably dealing 2 damage, sending Oscilio down to 5. So now we are definitely approaching the late game here. Aurora has been playing a lot of blues this game, which is of course something you would generally not prefer. Things could have looked quite different if more of Aurora's cards were of the red variety that were played so far. Chromatic Refinement is going to apply its effect to whichever red card is the first played. If There is an embodiment of lightning on the table for Oscilio, so it's possible to attack with go again. It is also possible to prioritize the flashbolt as the first red card, since arcane is more difficult to deal with, so chromatic refinement's damage effect would be slightly more potent. Chooses here to play the Astral Assault anyway, and it does get go again. So this doesn't technically demand any blocks with Aurora at 8 life. I mean, we don't know what's coming next. It could be... And this is probably an advantage of playing it out like this. Playing the Astral Assault first allows your opponent the opportunity to get greedy and take lots of physical damage, and then punishing them with the arcane. But Aurora wants to play it safe here in defense with 2 cards. My mistake, was there a lightning flow destroyed? I suppose I missed that in that case. Yes, it was a 7. Right. And here comes the flashbolt. The Volzar is available thanks to chromatic refinement hitting the graveyard. Yeah, the keen viewer will have noticed that there are 2 red flashbolts in this deck, which was remarkable since they came in the same pack during the draft. Constella Uplift played as a response. There's some shenanigans with the stack here. I think this is responding to the Volzar amp. But it's going to ping for 1 arcane. Aurora uses a lightning flow to take off. Yeah, okay, there was 2 because of the amp. And now it untaps, and then you get to amp for the flashbolt, which is now 4 arcane. And Aurora chooses to use a little bit of equipment there, preventing 1. So 3 damage comes through. Aurora down at 2 life. Is now with 1 piece of equipment left. Accidentally untapping the hero card there, but hopefully it's not of consequence. Ominous Excavation, now played with its full potential, and the flashbolt is being shuffled back into the graveyard. So the Ponder token here has the potential of finding that very same flashbolt, since it is shuffled. So the flashbolt could be anywhere. It's not a comfortable position to be at this low life when yep, wants to draw from the Ponder. That looked like a Calm Vale of Vault Haven, if I'm not mistaken. A little bit of insurance, defensive capabilities. This hand, we don't see a lot of instant arcane damage. There's a Nebula Duality, so likely not lethal. Although with Aurora being tapped here, the robe shouldn't be available. So with if there's a way to put an instant in the graveyard and activate Volzar, that would mean that you could amp the Nebula Duality. Or just play Star World Warning. So the arcane damage is available for Oscilio here. Let's see if the players detect that Aurora is supposed to be tapped. Turn to Mindfire, of course, a very powerful arcane spell which may just finish the game on its own on the following turn. Looks like we're playing the Calm Veil straight up. Just want to defend there. Oh yeah, the Path of Same Ends is this time of the red variety. So that is a 4-go again, and also 1 arcane. Thanks to the quick succession boost. The great card is coming in perhaps a little bit too late for Aurora here. Prevents the arcane. Oscilio decides to defend. And the prevention managed to float up. The Calm Veil, it doesn't have prevent from a single source. It spreads out its damage prevention as needed, so able to cover up the sword there quite elegantly. Thank you, Ponder Token. And the follow-up simply turn to Mindfire. That will get there. Aurora did not have any other prevention cards in the hand available there. That's the kind of situation where you really hope you're going to draw one of the Thunderous Retorts or Spellbane Sigil or other cards like that. But you might not have them. Of course, you need to pick them in the draft in order to have them available. Yes, so yeah, I'm quite sure that I saw correctly that Aurora was supposed to be tapped there. But yeah, minor mistake that didn't affect the outcome in the end, so it happens, of course. Oh yeah. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.